Jordan, let's start with just the overall feel around camp this year. Year 2 with Herm, so there's more experience on his part. I think just the general vibe seems a little more comfortable and a little more focused on football.
Yeah, going into year 1, everyone was very confused. Why would you hire Herm Edwards? Everyone's looking at Ray Anderson like, what is your plan here? And going into year 2, that narrative has completely changed to everyone is on the train, excited for this team, excited about the way that they've recruited in the offseason, and now it's time to put the plan in motion. Year 1, you had some big victories. Now year 2, you expect them to, do better than they did last year and have some big wins.
What are those expectations? I mean, a decent showing last year. I think in a lot of ways it exceeded people's expectations. But now that you have the recruiting class they have, and we know that Herm is he's good at coaching at the college level, what do people expect?
Yeah, well, almost every game was within 7 points last year. I think you want the team to win a couple more of those games now, and you see this transition kind of take place with Herm and the defense. You want somebody down the line to make a play, and I think that's what they're in position to do now.
Let's start with Jaden Daniels at quarterback. You have mentioned all along you thought it was going to be him. And what is it about him in your mind that separated him from the rest of the pack?
Yeah, well, he's smart. He's a smart kid. He's the one that was putting in the extra hours, and that's what you want when you have a true freshman quarterback come into a program. You want somebody that's going to be there late and come early and be bothering the coaches almost with how much he wants to get better and learn this playbook, and that's something he's done. You have Mike Bercovici, who's a guy that's been around that program and now coaching, and he said he's off the charts with how much he wants to learn and be better and be the guy for this team.
With Eno, okay, you've got a guy that is on national watch lists. I mean, you know him pretty well. How do you think he'll handle those expectations?
It's always tough when you have a great year, a successful year. You can kind of get in this rhythm where you're not doing the little things like you were last year. You got a lot of media attention. You got cameras in your face, and it's a little bit different. I think the good news is you have NFL, former NFL players in that locker room as coaches that are going to be able to help him just stay focused and keep the main thing the main thing.
They want to run a lot of their offense through him. I mean, Herm's been pretty clear. He's listed off the running backs he's worked with in the past, and there's some great ones at the NFL level especially. So putting that burden on Eno again and trying to win with the running game and the defense, would you envision the plan being?
Yeah, absolutely. Herm has said it from the beginning, what travels, a good run game and a great defense, and that's what they have this year. I believe that they have, one of the top 2 defenses in the league. If you look at, just from a depth standpoint, their linebackers are the best that they've been in a long time. Their safeties are young but experienced because of last year, and then, D-line was something that people were worried about, and now, they've got depth there. They got George Lee, DJ Davidson, and a handful of other players that are going to be really talented this year, and I think sky's the limit for them defensively.
How about the defense now getting experience for some key players that were freshmen last year? And Danny Gonzalez is he's very adamant about turning this into a dominant defense, whether that's this year or next year. And you bring in Marvin Lewis. I mean, you have that defensive mind influence as well. What do you see from this defense this year?
It's going to be the best defense the ASU has had in the last 5 to 8 years, I think. It is the most stacked defense, and they're all sophomores for the most part.
Yeah.
It's insane. You look at the, Shari Crosswell, a kid that I compare now to Demarius Randall from 2014, and just the way that he tracks the ball. And he catches 3 more interceptions last year. He's leading the country in picks and probably being talked about as, one of the best in the country and a freshman All-American. He just missed that mark last year, but look for them to take strides. Then you have a kid named Evan Fields, who is another one of those freshmen that got in the weight room and looks like a completely different player as well. It's scary when you look at this defense. Nobody's talking about him either. Nobody's talking about him. And they only lost games by 7 points last year. Most of their games were by 7 points besides the bowl game. And so you get an offense that can run the football and a quarterback in Jaden Daniels that makes smart plays, then the defense is going to take care of the rest.
Offensive line, you have some guys that are mainstays that have been there for a little while, but there's also some inexperience if you start to go too deep into it. And you can't predict injuries, and you can only do so much to prevent them. But over the course of the season, how do you think that offensive line will hold up?
Going into this year, I was not worried about the offensive line at all. They're probably the last thing I was worried about. They have depth. They have guys with game experience. Now it's the position that I am most worried about. They lose Zach Robertson for whatever reason. They haven't come out and publicly said it. And you move Cole Cabral, who was a staple at the center position and probably going to be drafted as a center, to left tackle. And now that adds a little bit of a shift on the offensive line. But Coach Christensen, their offensive line coach, is a great coach. We'll get them in the right place. they have enough experience up there to be able to shuffle some guys around. And, at the end of the day, you got Eno Benjamin. All you got to do is hold the block for 3 seconds, and he'll be gone right by you. And then, in the pass game, you're going to have to help that young freshman quarterback get comfortable.
Good stuff. Thanks, Jordan.
Appreciate it, Luke.